Before I do that, I wanted to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to every single one of you guys in the chat if you're a dad. And of course, Happy Father's Day to all the single moms, because women are equal to men, according to Damon. Right, Damon?
I like how you guys are putting an argument in my mouth.
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding, bro. All right, we're going to open up the panel. First one up, you might know who he is. The host of The Crucible, Mr. Andrew Wilson. Thank you for joining us. Andrew, what's your take on everything here?
It's fucking making me spurg in chat, Damon. You're making me spurg the fuck out and chat over this debate, Damon. I'm here sitting here listening to Teriyaki and you go. And I'm spurging the fuck out in the chat, Damon. I send in super chats because you're making me spurg, bro. You're making me spurg the fuck out, dude.
First of all, dude, lovely to actually speak with you, man. I know the other guys spoke with you loads, man. I love what you do. Really good argument strategy that you use. I love it, man. Love listening to you.
No, I appreciate that. Okay, well now I'm going to spurg on you though.
And also,
so
that's cool,
your stupid fucking compliment sandwich is not going to save you from my wrath today, Damon.
Cool. No.
It's not going to save you from my wrath. All right, dude. So let me ask you a question. So your argument is driving me fucking crazy. You say that a man who enters into what would be considered a bad deal because, you know, the other thing has a lesser value is a stupid man. So by this logic, though, getting a dog for a man would be stupid. There's no, is there any possible way that you could say a dog has an equal value to its owner?
I'm not saying that the dog has an equal value to the owner, but I'm saying that the dog will offer something to the owner that makes the owner want to invest the time and the effort into having a dog.
Yeah, but that's not your argument. Your argument is that a man who enters in to a relationship where the value is not equal is a stupid man.
I'm saying that I'm asking Teriak, why would a man enter into a relationship with a woman if he believes that she is of lesser value than him?
Yeah, why would he enter a relationship with anybody if he considers him to be a lesser value?
Damon, can I answer that question?
Hang on. Let me finish. Let's finish our exchange. It won't take long. Why would he enter into a relationship with anybody or anything if it's a lesser value?
There's no point. There's not. What would you think would be the point of entering into a relationship if you think you get the shit end of the stick?
Yeah. So why get a dog?
Because you don't think you're getting the shit end of the stick.
Okay. So then, so wait. Is that
dogs and value dogs?
Yeah. So is that objective or perspective?
It's subjective. Some people don't value dogs, and they don't value.
Well, maybe it's not subjective. I would say that a human being always has more value than a dog, right? Always.
That isn't why you enter into a relationship of getting a dog. Are you telling me that the only people who get dogs?
Right. So it's you're right. But right. Hang on. I agree. Okay. So you're saying objectively, human beings are always more valuable than dogs, right?
Well, in terms of how you value a life, yeah, but not in terms of.
Okay, yeah. So it's perspective. Yeah, so it's perspective then. Oh, the dog gives me companionship. The dog licks my hand. The dog fetches me a beer out of the fucking fridge because I have it highly trained. Okay, whatever it may be, but it's never going to be an equally yoked relationship ever. It's not even possible, right?
Are you comparing women to dogs here?
I'm comparing. No, I'm making an analogy. I'm comparing.
Come on, bro.
No. I'm not making a comparison to women and dogs.
No.
I'm making a comparison of a value assessment. So if we're looking at a value assessment, if you hang on, let me finish. So if you're making the value assessment that any man who enters into a relationship with anybody has lesser value than them is stupid, then I would say that would have to occur with any animal or with a friendship or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that just seems really silly to me because I don't think that all of your friends you believe are equally yoked with you. Is every friend you have equally yoked with you, or are you better than some of them?
This is why I was bringing up the question with metrics to Teriak. Like, how are you judging this? There has to be a whole value. There has to be a whole load of categories where you might think, well, hey, look, I earn more money than this guy. Whenever we go out, I have to sometimes pay more of the check because
can't we just do one value that's probably the overarching value, which is the love value? I would say that I have friends of mine who I love who aren't as valuable or, as valuable as I am as far as, money or intelligence or yada, yada, yada. But that really has nothing to do with why we're friends. Why couldn't that be the same thing in a relationship? Why couldn't a man, for instance, have way higher value than a woman does in basically all metrics, but she's just kind of young and hot, and that's good enough?
Do you think that's a healthy relationship?
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I can see how that would be a great relationship from the man's perspective.
Why wouldn't it be a great relationship from her perspective? Maybe she just wants to fucking knit, dude. Maybe she just wants to knit and sit at home and do fucking yoga and stupid bullshit, right? She wants to sit at home and do yoga and sew fucking buttons on a shirt and, scrapbook. They do scrapbooking and get out her little markers, dude, and highlight shit with pink and put glitter on stuff and whatever the fuck it is that she wants to do. That's what she likes to do.
How does that differ from a relationship where you've got a gold digger with an older guy?
Yeah, how's that gold digging? She still loves him. She's just not interested. She's just not interested.
A life where she's supported by everything.
Yeah, but she still loves him.
There's gold diggers who can say that they love a guy. There's gold diggers who say that they.
Well, then they're not. Then they're not with him because they're gold diggers. Then they're not with him because they're gold diggers. That would be a category error. Gold digger is I'm only with you because you're money, not because I love you.
No, but they love the relationship that they're in because they get supported, they get everything provided.
Yeah, but that's not loving the person, dude. Come on, that's not loving the person. Loving.
This is.
Oh, I love my situation. That's what? Yeah, come on, dude.
Right, okay. So my point of view to you would be if you love somebody, why do you love them? Because you value them, right?
Yeah, you value them.
So if the man and the woman love themselves equally, if the woman loves the man to the 100% and the man loves the woman 100%, if they love each other equally, if that's an equally loving relationship, which is what
well, I don't think that no. First of all, you're kind of smuggling a lot in here, right? The first is this kind of supposition of equal love. I don't even know what the fuck that means. That there's no metric that we could ever come up with, you and I, for how you can measure that. Stop, hang on. The second presupposition that you kind of smuggle in there is this idea that value needs to be equal to value. Yeah, I think he values her. Yeah, I think that she values him. That doesn't mean she's as valuable as him.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you this way then, without trying to smuggle anything in.
Yeah.
Because we've already agreed that if you love somebody, that love equates to how much you value them, or you love somebody, therefore the love is based on the fact that you value them.
I would agree. I don't think that you could love somebody if you didn't value them. That doesn't really make much sense.
So instead of like drawing up this kind of equal love, equal value thing, let me just ask, based on some level of equality, do you think that you love your wife less than what she loves you?
Yes.
Okay. And she understands that. Do you tell her, hey, look, I don't love you as much as you love me, but I still love you, and that's cool?
Yeah, I mean, I love her with all of my capacity. I just don't think that I have the same capacity that she does for love.
Okay, so if you love her with all of your capacity, and do you think that men and women are the same?
No, that's my whole point.
Okay, so if they're not the same, but you still love her to the most possible metric that you could,
it still wouldn't be then it still wouldn't be equal. Then it still wouldn't be equal, right?
Right. But hang on a second. If that's the case, though, and you're given 100% of what you can give as a man, and
then it's not equal.
100% of what? Hang on a second.
It's still not equal. So what you're? So here's.
Wait,
dude. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
If she's loving you to the highest capacity that she can as a woman, and you're loving her to the highest capacity that you can as a man, if they're not the same, then you have to judge it based on the capacity. Okay?
No, why? That's stupid. That makes no sense. Okay, so what you're trying to say is, hang on.
Do you believe in equal outcomes?
No, I don't think that. No, equity's bullshit too.
Okay.
But here's
So
what
then
you're
we have to
saying.
judge
Hang
it based
on,
on
hang
what
on.
it
Stop,
is.
stop. Here's what you're saying. You're saying, okay, this bowl holds 8 ounces and this one holds 12 ounces. Because both of the bowls are full, there's an equal amount of stuff in the bowl.
No,
It's fucking
you're
stupid.
again
Yeah, that's
trying to
fucking
make it the
stupid,
same
dude.
after-
That makes no
No,
sense.
but hold up. You're trying to make it the same based on saying that it's a bowl. It's not. One's a man, one's a woman. So if we're different,
Okay, fine. It's a bowl. I'm sorry, you're right. It's a bowl that holds 8 ounces and a cup that holds 16 ounces.
Just as bad. That's just as bad. That's just as bad.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Now we have
No, it's
two
not.
things
No,
which are
it's not.
different, right? Yes, it is. It's the same shit.
If you wanted to do it that way, okay, let's play that game. Let's do it that way. Now I'm going
Okay.
to ask you, which one is more full? Is the cup more full or is the bowl more full? Or are they both full?
Well, no. They would. So this is a word concept.
If we're playing it your way.
Yeah,
this is
I'll
the way to
answer.
play it.
I'll answer. But there's a word concept fallacy. So the answer to this is yes, both are full, but one still has more of something in it than the other one does.
But it's as full to its capacity as it can be. That cup
Sure,
is full.
but
That bowl is
that's
full.
irrelevant. But that's irrelevant.
Right,
There's
okay.
still X amount of
No, but
stuff.
if you're
Is six? Hang on. So is 16 ounces more than 8 ounces?
I know what you're trying to do. I'm not arguing with that. I'm saying
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just answered your
capacity-
question directly with yes or no. Can you answer mine? Is 16 ounces more than 8 ounces?
I said, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay, so if I were to take
love.
love and put it in liquid form and pour 8 ounces of love into a glass or 16 ounces of love in the glass, which glass has more love?
I understand what you're trying to say, but I'm saying
Answer my
if we're
question,
looking at a
bro.
man and a woman,
Don't stop evading.
yes,
Answer.
18 ounces is more than 16. I agree.
Okay, so which one has more love? The 8 ounce or the 16 ounce?
The 16 ounce.
Okay, so if love is equatable to value in this analogy by your logic, then that would mean which one has more value?
It's your logic, but if we're going to follow that through, I would have to ask you. I've got 2 questions for you, if I can ask that. Right.
Yeah.
So the first question is: this all begins if we're talking about presuppositions. How do you know? Just answer me this: how do you know that you, as a man, can't love as much as your wife can as a woman?
Oh, I didn't say I, as a man,
think-
can't. Wait. I didn't say a man can't love as much as a woman. I said in this particular instance, between me and my wife, I think my capacity is different than hers. Not that all men's capacity are different from all women's.
But you still say that you love her as much as you can possibly love her, right?
Yeah, I just think that pales in comparison to that capability of the opposite direction.
Okay, so why? Why is that the assumption?
I think it's just part of my ontology. It's just part of who I am. It's part of my being. I'm only capable of what I'm capable of.
Okay, so you're saying that you're different to other guys then, in that respect?
I'm the same as many guys, but different than other guys. Sure.
Okay, so I mean, if I thought that you're putting this out as a standard, so if it was a standard, then okay, fine. Like you're trying to put this forward.
No, you drew the comparison between me and my wife. I just answer questions directly.
No.
Say yes or say no.
That's fair enough. I'm not arguing with that. But then, what do you say about other men whose standards? Because you said that's based on your ontology. What about other men whose standards are different, who do have the capacity to love the same?
Yeah, that could be the case. Sure. Yeah.
So could those be
that they come across women who they love more than them, but that really wouldn't have any bearing on value.
Well, you just said that like the capacity to love is related to the value that you.
Well, I'm just using your metric, bro. You're the one who's making the metric of love value being equal.
I asked you earlier on, but you did agree to it, right? Or you just
no. What I agreed to is that if you love somebody, obviously you value them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but that's not saying that love and value is the same exact thing, though.
No, I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but I'm saying that one is related to the other. One correlates to the other. So if you love
yeah, there's a correlate there, and yes, there are a lot of men out there who value women far more than the women value them, but that doesn't mean that they're less valuable than the woman.
I'm not saying that either.
Then what are you saying?
Well, I'm just saying that I can't understand how Teriak is going to say that men bring more to the table because
Yeah, generally. So he's just talking in. Okay, so if we're talking in generalities, which is what we're doing
we're not
here,
talking
right?
generalities. It was
Well, how else? Well, it can't be monolithic,
well,
right?
it was made in the
Like
time
men in a coma aren't going to bring as much value as women who aren't in a coma, right?
Well, if you were actually there when the discussion was originally brought up, it was pretty much an absolute statement. I think Teriak will agree. It was made as an absolute statement, pretty much.
Okay, well, I doubt it.
I asked him.
I mean, I was here for the debate, but what happens a lot when people say all, right? They don't mean all. When they're saying because men do X, they're not saying every single fucking woman. It's just like when they say, man, women are bitches. Nobody actually means all women are bitches. That's not how people talk,
can I
right?
Just say, I get what you're saying, and I do agree with your points here. Part of the reason why I took issue with this and why it ended up becoming a debate was because I've been hearing a lot of guys that will say stuff that sounds kind of crazy, and I kind of understand sometimes it's for comedic effect, sometimes they're being hyperbolic. But when it's a repeat statement again and again and again, this is why I actually asked when this conversation was originally happening prior to the debate. I said, well, hang on a second. And we discussed a little bit, and I actually said, is this just being hyperbolic? No. This is why it came to the point of let's.
Okay. So if we adjust it, then if we just adjust it, a couple like small tweaks, then, and say, in general, just generally speaking, right? Let's just say it's like 60%. 60%.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
I get that.
That way more men bring value to the table than women do. They bring more value than women do to a relationship and to society.
In this day and age, I can agree with that, especially with women pursuing things that I think they don't need to pursue. Women trying to masculinize themselves. Women trying to compete with men rather than living with men. Like women bring a lot of value in their own way, but I think that when they try to compete with men, they're actually
but see, like look at that. So let's kind of examine the micro statement here, because you say something interesting here. You say they bring it in their own way. So yeah, right. Well, what the fuck does that mean though? That means clearly that they have a different value than men. Like you're clearly saying that. You're clearly saying they have a different value. Well, so is this different value less valuable to society in general? That's the question. And I would say yes.
Okay, if you think
would you say no?
I would say no in terms of, I mean, you brought it in terms of society, right? And
I think the reason I think that we talk about dating, relationships, red pill, stuff like that is it's a broader conversation on society, whether people know it or not. We're really talking about how society looks and how dating is a reflection of that. So it's a microcosm that people can see into really easy because they go on fucking dates, right? So they can see a microcosm of decay and decadence kind of on the micro because they have to actually engage in it. So that's why I think that dating dynamics is just a really easy thing to point to, but we're really talking about society ultimately. And so whatever this different value is that these women are bringing to society, which I agree is different, it's valuable, but it's a different value. Is it as valuable as what men are bringing to society? This is Teriak's point. I would say no. Would you disagree with that?
If we're talking about increasing it to society rather than just the relationship, which is what we're discussing, I would probably say no because of the point that I made at the beginning. This is why men fight in wars and women don't. Because obviously, like I said, like you look at Vikings, look at other societies where women were fighting. They were overthrown, they were wiped out because after sustained battles, like, they went to war once.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. They fight the wars, they build the infrastructure, they do all that. There's a little bit more value, right? There's some more value added to society than from women, right?
No, but what I'm saying is that if women fight, then the population numbers of women drop and they can't repopulate. So eventually they get wiped out. So for a strong society, this is why men have to protect women, because of the value that women hold.
So there's additional value there, right?
Yeah.
Well, then it seems like that would have to. It seems like that would have to apply on the micro too.
Yeah, but
because
like,
it's on the micro that all these men are getting drafted to go fight all these wars and do all this defense of the nation and do all this job work and all this, right?
No, but if you're talking about the value to society that they add, like,
yeah,
I'm not. Maybe I'm not understanding you, but
well, because on the micro, so let's consider the personal relationship, the micro, and then society, the macro. They're like the overarching point here. So the overarch is that men. Yeah, go ahead.
First, just clear up something for me.
Yeah.
With the societal look at it, then if you're saying that is what you're saying that women bring the value that women have, which is different to the value of the men, you're still trying to say that is lesser value to society.
Yeah, I think it's a lesser value. Correct.
Right.
That's
so
correct.
Why do we send men to fight in wars and die so to protect the women at home?
Well, no, wait. So you smuggled something else in here, which is that we fight wars so that we can protect women. No, we fight wars so that we can go take people's fucking shit. And if you want to take people's shit if you want to take people's shit, the best way to do that is have big, strong men to go kill their big, strong men.
Historically, that's not the reason for it.
Oh, yes, historically, that is the reason for it. It's land encroachment.
It's because they made the societies where women were allowed to go and fight were the societies that died out. And people realized.
Those are societies that survived, bro. If you promise 10,000 young men treasure and that they can carry off the enemy's women after they kill them, they're gonna go do that shit.
No, that's not what I said. I said the societies where women were allowed to fight in wars were the ones that died off.
There's never been any, dude. There have always been in a no, there hasn't. There have always been in a support role. Even the shield maidens. The shield maidens are bullshit. That was rare as fuck, and they died constantly. And nobody cared. Nobody cared because they were outside of their childbearing years. So they were just like, whatever, grandma, hold up the fucking sword and go to Valhalla. We don't give a shit. We don't give a shit, Granny.
They were of childbearing age,
Damon, real quick.
They weren't able to repopulate.
Damon, real quick. Just want to read this super chat right here. Women have more needs, men have more wants. You can live without your wants, but you cannot live without your needs. That makes men more valuable. Thank you for the $10 super chat.
That's a woman, by the way. That's a woman.
And that's a woman speaking, by the way, Damon.
By the way, let me ask you a question too, Damon. All those women shield maidens who you're pointing to, who are allowed to fight in wars, how many of them do you think crafted their own armor and weapons? If you had to guess.
No, I'm not saying they did that. I'll say that.
So they were even less valuable. So they were even less valuable on the front line as fodder. And there wasn't very many of them on the front line as fodder. And guess what? If you were a dude on the other side and you were coming up against a unit of shield maidens versus a unit of barbarian men, which would you want to go up against?
I'm not arguing that. Obviously, it would be easy to kill women and kill men on the battlefield.
Yeah, so it's lesser value. Yeah, it's lesser value.
I think that's not the point that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to say,
well, what's your point?
Historically, because those societies that used women in battle, that allow those really egalitarian societies where women were allowed to fight, after the reason they died off was because they couldn't repopulate. So other societies,
dude, there was no society where women were off dying in wars to the point where they couldn't repopulate. You're just making shit up, bro. That's never happened. It's never happened.
Did you not see how the archaeologists and anthropologists who looked into societies like the Vikings found out that they had rulers who were women? They had people who died in battle. They dug it up. People who were fighting who were women.
Yeah. Okay. Listen. The thing that's you want to know what's frustrating? What's really frustrating about this conversation here is I can yield that all of this is true. That anthropologists dug up Viking queens who were leading armies of barbarian warriors by the horde over the mountaintops. Who gives a shit? Ultimately, There was very, very, very few of them, and it doesn't make your point that female soldiers ever led to the decimation of a population. That's never happened before, ever.
Well, what the point is that what these anthropologists were pointing out was that these societies were selected to be wiped out because they couldn't repopulate after the wars. Other tribes realized that they could just fight these tribes who were using women in battle, and those ones were getting wiped out because their numbers couldn't be sustained over time.
No, bro,
So
what
over a period of
happened
years,
was
decades later,
no,
Wait,
other
can you- wait,
societies
hang on a
came in and killed those motherfuckers and took their women. That's what happened. That's why
Even if
that's
that's
why
the
Anglo
case.
that's why Anglos and Saxons became Anglo-Saxons.
okay,
That's
even if
why
that's the
that's
case,
why Aeon, that's why the British Picts became just the British. Because what happens is it's not that the entire society is destroyed, it's that the men get put to the sword and then we take off with their chicks.
yes, yes, you see that happening too. But my point is that when
No,
that occurs,
that's only what happens.
okay, even if that's only what happens, don't you think that the reason why we have societies now where men are the ones who go to battle and women don't, traditionally, don't you think that that is the reason why men go to battle is also to protect the commodity that is the women?
No, they go to
Because
battle
it will
for
be
the same
predominantly
reasons now that they used to go to battle. Same exact reasons. Either
to go and
A,
steal and take shit.
either A for the defense of the homeland, okay, or
Right.
B for booty.
Okay, but you're saying the
For
only
treasure,
reason is because,
for women, for slaves, for shit like that. Yeah.
and you're saying that the only reason for arranging it that way, the single reason, isn't because women should be protected because they'll give birth to the children to the future soldiers, but because men are just simply better at it. That's the only reason. It's not factoring in two or the other to some degree. It's only because men are
Yeah.
better.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's assume that there's 10,000 variables, but the variable that accounts for 65%. So the primary reason, okay, 65% of it is that it's very simple. Men big, strong, carry big stick, hit harder, you die faster. Very simple. It's really not any more complex than that. As much as you want to complexify it, let's just say 65, 70% of it is big, strong man, have axe, hit harder than little woman. Very simple. Big, large bone mass guy with twice
Okay,
the
so
muscle
what's the other
capacity and a
35?
much heavier skeleton hit you with big thing harder.
What's the other 35% then?
The other reasonings around it could be religious, or they could be defensive, or they could be ideological, or they could be all these other variances, which lead to why you could, under some prism, send men instead of women. You could have moral foundations, all sorts of different shit. But the primary reason, the 65, 70% reason, is because if I put a baseball bat in your hand and you hit me with it, it's going to hurt a lot more than if I put it in your wife's hands and she hits me with it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But I'm not disputing that. But I'm saying, how much of that percentage of reasoning would you give to the fact that women will give birth to future generations? They need to be protected. Where would you rank that?
Nobody. Well,
Percentage.
I actually give that argument very little credence, and let me explain why. Because human beings generally don't multi-generationally plan, and never have. Even their leaders don't usually multi-generationally plan. They plan for their lifetime. That's what they usually plan for. They don't usually look past their lifetime. So, no, I don't think that the reason is that the tribe got together and went, well, the men better go, because that way, if we all die, the enemy can come over here and rape our women, and so therefore we'll still be able to have children. That sounds stupid to me.
How does that argument work that you don't plan multi-generationally when you have things like if you look at how Islam operates, or if you look at communism, if you look at Leninism, if you look at the Russia's plan to kind of like
you mean the massive failures of the state planning multi-generationally?
Well, a lot of people would say, like, if you look at the communist infiltration of America, that's pretty much happened. There's only like 2 or 3 goals that they haven't fully achieved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in modernity, when you're not struggling to fill your belly with local rabbit, you can do a little bit more of this kind of cross-generational social engineering, which we've seen in the 20th century. But that was a massive disaster and led to more global warfare than at any other time in human history. So yeah, I'm not really sure how this makes your point. Nobody cared about the women. They went into Berlin and they put all the men to the sword, and the Russians raped all the chicks. That's what happened. Like, that's what happened.
But it was a bit more complex with regards to, they did look multi-generation at how they were going to overtake other societies. And now you're saying that people aren't doing that. I think they are. No, I don't think that I don't think that they do. I don't think that they're looking generally, they're not planning warfare strategies around multitudes of generations. I think that they're looking 20, 30 years, they're looking within their lifetime for their expansion to leave to the next generation, but they're not looking at, well, we got to make sure that our women folk can be raped by these barbarians. So if all of us die, they can still breed. That's stupid. That would make no sense. Why would you want that? No, I'm saying that's what I think. If you actually look at history, I think that's what it showed us. It showed us that societies. No, I don't think so. So you're saying that it's just with intuitive logic, you're in a tribe of like 300 dudes, and there's 400 women in this tribe, and you go, well, our odds are not great here that we're going to survive this battle, but all of the men are going to do it anyway and die on your behalf, knowing that the enemy soldiers are just going to come in and take off with you. That seems like a sound strategy to you? Well, no, but I mean, if it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to lose, things are going to be different, obviously. Well, it's not foregone. It's a heightened risk, right? So you could win, but it just seems like you wouldn't base your survival strategy on, well, we're all probably going to die and you're going to get raped. Good luck. That doesn't seem like that would be a reasonable strategy here, right? No, in that situation, like I said, because you did say that, like, you're going to lose and we're going to lose, you're going to get raped. If that's the case, then yes, it's going to be different. Yeah, but I mean, that's your whole argument. Your whole argument is men folk go and die so that women folk don't go and die, so that they can become impregnated by the victor. That doesn't seem right to me. Dude, no, I'm saying that anywhere you look, if you look in history, this is what people did think. I mean, look at the Republic. Plato even built his society based on that principle. No, Plato built his society. He based that around the fact that women couldn't fight. Plato was a soldier. Plato had been a soldier. It was the women. The women shouldn't. Yes, they caused all kinds of problems. He allowed them to be the philosophers. Yeah, that's fine. He was a Plato, but Plato was a soldier. And Plato knew that women were completely ineffective in combat. He knew it. He knew that they were going to be providing the future generations of soldiers. That's why the soldiers weren't mating with the same woman every time they came back. That's why they rotated. No, because they came back with slaves. They came back with slaves from other countries they conquered. That's why. That's not what he said. Plato said that when the soldiers come back from war, they're going to be mating with a different woman in a republic. It would be a different woman every time. Because that way, the soldiers, the philosopher kings, the other guardians, they wouldn't know who their children were. So that when they went out to war, they would look at any child in the republic as potentially being their child. It wouldn't compromise them. It would make them feel a greater attachment to the society. But even if that's true, the primary reason, and I guarantee you Plato wouldn't disagree, that the primary reason men need to go off and fight wars is because they're big and strong and hit you real fucking hard with their gladius. They hit you really hard with the gladius and you die real quick. I can agree with that. I don't doubt that. But what I'm saying is that back then. So I think that all these other reasons. Yeah, but I think all these externalized reasons are just because that has to be the case. We're going to look at all these secondary reasons and say, well, that's also good then. That's it. I think you're just going, well, because we're going to send men to war because they hit harder with bigger stick, then we also can give us now secondary reasons why that's also good. Okay, great. But I just don't think that that's what any society was basing anything off of, was that, oh, the women have the fucking kids. I think they were primarily basing it on,
the men hit you really fucking hard, you die fast. That's what I think.
Right. Okay. So why is there people still against? Okay, then that's a side issue. It's not really that important. Why protect the woman? Just because you're stronger, just by virtue of being stronger?
Well, I mean, the thing is that we're not really protecting women anymore, right? And the reason that you used to protect them is because they were your fucking property. And you protected your property. That's how that worked.
Right, okay.
I mean, you tend to protect your property, right?
Yeah, you do. You do protect your property.
Yeah. And don't you feel a sense, don't you think that it's reasonable to feel a sense of ownership as a man over your children and wife? To feel a sense that they're yours?
I don't think that that's the driving force behind protecting them. And I think that if it
that would be okay. I don't think that I would be out protecting your wife as much as I'd be protecting mine. If your wife's honor got offended in public, I'm not protecting her honor for you. You need to protect her fucking honor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well then the thing is it seems that the value distinction is I feel like I have some degree of duty, responsibility, and ownership of my family and not yours. And that's why I protect them and not yours. And that it's your job to protect yours.
No, if you're talking about a specific wife, yes, I understand what you're saying there. But I was saying, why do we protect women? You said that we don't.
Yeah, but when you say that, we don't. When we never really have. It's not we protect women. It's men who have some sort of either familial ties or interpersonal relationship with women protect women. Protect those women. That's okay. That's how it actually works.
So how do you square your because I know usually you make the arguments where you kind of go to the Bible. So with regards to your belief that women are of lesser value than men, how do you square that with what the Bible says? Like where do you think like the Bible supports that, or does it not support that?
Does the Bible say that women can be clergy or not?
I'm not talking with regards to what jobs they can do. I'm talking about their
but wait, you just gave, hang on, but if you just give the qualifier of value, then I'm going to give you values, right? So it seems to me that if the Bible says that women can't even be clergy and that women must obey their husband, they must obey him like unto the Lord, said Paul. It seems that the Bible draws a very clear distinction that while women are valuable and they should be valued by their men, and their men should even be willing to die for them, for their women, okay, that the obedience is still owed and deferred to the man. It's a patriarchal religion and always has been.
So do you think that...
Did Jesus incarnate? How come Jesus didn't incarnate as a woman, bro?
I mean, I've never questioned that, but I'm just saying, do you think...
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Why didn't Jesus incarnate as a woman, and why is God called the Father?
Well, probably because it was a patriarchal society, so him being incarnate as a man would make more sense because people would listen to him.
So if it was a matriarchal society, you're saying that you think that he would have incarnated as a woman?
Probably. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, then you have really bad theology because no.
I'm not claiming bad theology. I'm just asking.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, so Jesus and Adam. Adam was the first Christ. Essentially, there's a telos which goes with the theology that you just don't really understand. But yes, it's a patriarchal religion. It's a patriarchal religion. It always has been a patriarchal religion. God is the Father, right? Christ is the head of the church. The marriage is a reflection of the Christ head being the man who is the head, and the woman who reflects the body of the church, which is not the head.
And it's why Eve convinced Adam, not vice versa.
Yeah, it's always been a patriarchal religion. God made Adam first, Eve second.
Okay, but did he make Eve? I mean, in Genesis, doesn't it say like male and female he made them? So like they were both.
Yeah, male and female he made them at the request of Adam. Eve was made.
Yeah. So, but they were both made in the image of God, though.
Yes, they're both image bearers of God. Nobody's saying that that's not true.
No, so no, the question I'm asking is that there's this
In Christianity, yeah, I know what you're. Yeah, I know what you're
to.
getting at. Let me steelman it for you, just to make sure we got it correctly, so that I'm not misapplying what you're saying. You're saying if both are made as in image bearers of God, aren't they both equal in the eyes of God? And so therefore, shouldn't they be equal between you? Is that basically what the argument is?
I was going to also ask, why do you think that just because one submits to the other, they're of lesser value?
Well, no, I think it's again of different value. Okay, when we're asking what the other value is, so I think that the men and women have ontology, they have natures, and I think that people are set with teleology or a telos, a purpose. The Christian ethic talks a lot about teleology, the purpose of men and women. The purpose is distinctly different. The man gets the big piece of fucking chicken for a reason, because he is more important to the development infrastructure of society and the family unit. However, he ultimately is the first one who's expended as part of the Christian ethic. So there's a distinct difference in value. When we're talking about more value materially, men are more valuable materially. When we're talking about a spiritual value, then yes, you could say that men and women have equality in the eyes of God spiritually, but not materially.
Okay. So when it comes to materially, though, where would you put the value of the woman being able to bear a child from that? Doesn't that pay off the investment that the man is making in the woman by protecting?
Well, no. And here, I can give you an easy counter for this. If let's just say I were to put it at, like you did, 100%, the fact that a woman could bear a child, I'm going to put this at 100% of her value, like you did. If we have an artificial,
I didn't say.
But let's just assume. Okay, well, let's just assume it 100% of the value. Okay, comes from this. If there's an artificial womb, does that mean women are no longer valuable?
No.
No, of course not. That would be ridiculous. Does that mean that women even lose any value?
Only among the men that don't value them for the right reasons.
Right. So they would only lose some kind of like material value, right? But whatever the spiritual value is that we're deferring to, whatever this deeper value is, you would agree with me, they don't lose any. So then why would we value them for that? That makes no sense. That would be stupid, right? It'd be stupid to say we value you because you bear the children. But then if I give you a scenario in which they no longer have to bear the children, their value doesn't go down, then that means that this whole pregnancy thing must not be the actual value.
No, I think that's not the right conclusion. I mean, you can't say that just because you wouldn't lose value because we can synthesize this another way. Therefore, that's not where your value lies. Therefore, you have no value based on this ability, or therefore this ability to provide children gives you no real value. Your value lies somewhere. So I don't agree with that conclusion.
Well, that must not be the value, though, because you don't seem to think they lose any value if they can't have children or no longer need to have children.
No.
So I'm sorry, bro. You just got caught. You got caught in a contradiction here.
No. Look, you can.
Yeah. That's a contradiction.
No.
It's not a trap. It's not a trap. You got caught in a contradiction.
You're making a conclusion based on a false hypothesis. I'm not saying that just because a woman might not be able to have children, that she doesn't have value, and therefore, the fact that the ability that you have to bear children.
How do you straw man your own argument? If a woman is born with no uterus and a woman is born with a uterus, is one more valuable than the other?
In that scenario, where we're not talking about a synthetic womb, in that scenario, yes.
Yeah, and just answer my question, bro.
Yes, one is more valuable than the other.
Which one's more valuable than the other?
Well, the one who has the uterus will have future value.
And so how much more valuable is she?
It depends based on what man she's going to find.
Well, wait, it can't depend. It can't depend because you just said she was.
She was valuable in the extent that she'll be able to bring a child into the world.
Yeah, how much more valuable is that?
Well, this is a kind of arbitrary thing. I don't really know what.
Right. Well, I mean, this was the question you asked Teriak, though. How come you can't answer it?
Because my problem was that Teriak didn't give a metric to say why he's making this claim.
Neither are you. You're not giving a metric. You are, bro. You said one's more valuable than the other. That's a metric. So what's the metric?
Do you want me to say what? 50, 60,
is
100?
It? Well, is it? Are they 60%? Are they 60% more valuable because they have a uterus?
But if I'm the man who's judging, because I want to be with them, if I want to have kids, then I would say that one is 100% more valuable than the other.
Okay, perfect. Then we've established that childbearing in women is at least way more valuable than women who can't have children. So then if we have an artificial womb, now all women have equal value, right?
Again, no. Because I'm not marrying the woman just because of the womb. I'm marrying the woman because of what she can provide, as Teriak even said. Teriak even said, like, you want them to be a present mother in the household. You want them to partake in raising a child.
So then the childbearing thing really can't be the standard of value then. If you say it's just an arbitrary standard.
It's not the sole value. I'm saying it's not the sole metric that you can use to judge them.
Okay, so let us pretend. So let us pretend for a moment that we have artificial wombs and we can grow babies in these artificial wombs and we don't need women to have our children anymore. Okay. Do you think that then they're less valuable than men?
The women are less valuable than men?
Yeah.
No,
right. So then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they can have children or can't have children. You still wouldn't value them less. You see my point?
Because you're assuming that you're still going to have the artificial womb there that can just bear the children for you if you want.
It's baked into the hypothetical to test your logic.
No,
they don't have to have children no more, and they stop having them because they don't have to anymore, and you don't value them any less, right?
You're talking about a hypothetical where you have this. Okay, look, let me flip it the other way for men, right? Do men have value in society? You would say yes. You say they have more value than women. We've got sperm banks where women can go and have IVF, right? That is not a hypothetical. That's a real life. That's a real life scenario that we live in today.
So are test tube babies.
So how is it?
Wait. So are fertility clinics with? Hang on. So are fertility clinics where women donate eggs. You're just talking about who's donating the genetic material.
No. Yeah, I already addressed it in the debate as well. A man could just pay a woman to just a surrogate mother. That's what it was. You can just pay a surrogate.
I understand, and I gave you that possibility earlier, but I'm saying that surrogate mothers are still not going to stay with you and help raise a child. Your issue, Teriak, was that you're saying that you still need.
Yeah, but neither will the sperm donor, bro. Neither will the sperm donor.
This is what I'm saying. So I'm saying to you that in this scenario where we have a very real scenario where a woman can go and just get the sperm and just make the baby, would you say that the man has no value now? No, because you're saying that you still need the man to be present.
Yeah, but I'm not making the dependence of value for the man or the woman on their ability to have children. That's not where I think their value is.
You don't. Okay. So you think that if you're looking at a relationship where a man and woman just get together and having babies has got no part of their relationship. So based on that, like a couple that are together and babies.
So in other words, if a man and a woman go to a church and they get married and neither one of them can have children because she doesn't have a uterus, I consider that to be just as valuable of a marriage as a reproductive marriage. I don't consider them to be of any distinct differential value.
Okay. So like the whole go forth and multiply thing. So that doesn't factor into the worldview.
Yeah, I don't think that monks who aren't multiplying have less value than people who are multiplying.
Yeah, but they have a different duty to God, right?
That's right. They have different duties. Exactly.
Okay.
So I value these other metrics called duty above this. So I think that reproduction is necessary. And I think that reproduction is something which should be highly encouraged. But I don't think it makes you a less valuable person because you can't reproduce.
Okay, so when you look at these different metrics, and you're willing to recognize that like you do have those different metrics in that sense, you would still say that overall, whatever a woman has in her own worth comes in as being of lesser value than everything that a man can offer.
What? Yeah, you mean like an overarching society? Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're just both coming in on their own merits, right, absent reproduction, or with reproduction, I still think that men offer more to society and in relationships than women do and always have. Yes, that's correct.
Is that based on the fact that it's a patriarchal society, or would you say things?
No, all societies are necessarily going to be patriarchal. They have to be. There's no real choice around that.
Okay. Okay.
So the reason for this is because women don't have the capacity for infrastructure. Their bodies can't take irregular heat, irregular cold. Their bodies aren't built for that. They're not ever going to be builders. And so they're always going to be less valuable, and they're never going to be the enforcers. So they're always going to be less valuable. Men are always going to be the determiners of what women's rights are, regardless of what women want. And there's nothing women can do about that. By the way, nothing. Women cannot collectively get together and give themselves rights without men's consent, but men can collectively get together and give themselves rights absent women's consent.
And why would men invest so much effort into doing all of that for women?
Doing all that for what?
Well, like building the structure and protecting and leading them, all of that stuff. Like, why? Meditate. This is a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of burden on men to do this. Yeah,
it's
especially when it comes to protecting them.
So, yeah, it's due to familial bondings. Sure, men have sisters and they have mothers, and they value their sisters. They value their mothers. They value their wives. They value other human beings. They value men who aren't them, who are weaker than themselves. They value other human beings.
So what I'm asking is, taking on this immense burden of building the society, the laws, the rights, leading them, protecting them, sacrificing your own life for them in many cases.
Yeah.
To take on all of this burden of responsibility and duty for the woman. Right? Why would you do that? Now,
because it came. I'll tell you. I'll explain why. Because it came with power. Taking on those additional duties came with power. There was, with the duty and the responsibility, came the big piece of chicken. It came the attaboys. It came the wealth. It came the prestige. It came all of that. All of that came with those epic duties. The reason men are shirking away from duties now is because none of the duties come with any of that. You don't get the big piece of chicken or the attaboys or the power or the control or any of that great stuff.
They had the power first, which is why they did this. They had the power first. They grew.
Yes, but men compete within hierarchy. No, well, okay. When you say they collectively, men compete inside of hierarchies. So no, not all of the men did have all of the power. Some of the men had some of the power. And so men inside of these hierarchies are constantly competing for the prestige to be at the top of the hierarchy. I have the most children. I have the most wives. I have the most treasure. I have the most cars. He who dies with the most toys wins.
Okay, but the point is that you said that men do this because of the value that they have for women. When I asked you,
no, you keep saying that. You keep saying that.
Okay, hang on a second. Let's dial it back.
That's your argument.
When I asked you, why would men do all of this for women? Yes, you brought up the issue of the power, but I said, but why would men take on the responsibility not only of organizing themselves, but the women as well, but also protecting the women, right? And
my answer was because they have a duty to power. Yes, they have a duty to power. In this case, the power is God. The duty is to God. They follow divine command. There's power on earth which is given via divine command if you take your head as a Christian in a patriarchy. That's how it was always traditionally done. That's why they do it.
But you're being kind of selective with regards to the duty to God, because like the Bible, yes, it does say that women will submit to men and does put women in a role where they are beneath men societally, and to that degree, like when you said earlier on, about what a woman's role is and what she can
right.
do,
And so then it's left to men to compete in the hierarchy. That's correct. So men are competing in the hierarchy. Right.
Yes, but with regards to the worth, it does still say that women are, when it comes to value alone, it says that women have that value. That women are just as valuable.
Yeah, you can't beat them to death, and you can't sexually assault them, and you can't do any of that stuff. Yes, that's correct. Just like you can't do that to children. Just like you can't do that to children, even though you completely have power over children. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, but I'm not saying about what it says that you can't do. It actually does specifically say that they are of equal value in God's eyes.
Yes, they're of equal moral value when it comes to all of the things that are required of the 10 Commandments and Jesus's additional commandments. Yes.
Okay,
that's correct.
If it says that the women are of equal value, then
moral value.
Okay. I agreed, at least in the debate with Tarek, that when it comes to measuring these metrics of physicality, no, I'm not arguing. I'm saying that we can't conflate strength with value.
We're not. We're not. We're saying that from a moral standpoint, women have as much moral value as men do. But having moral value does not equal a power dynamic of value in society. We're talking about the internal versus the external. Morality is internalized through divine command. So through that, we know that women have moral value, equal moral value to men. But externally, when it comes to how power plays out in the world, men clearly have far more value than women do.
Okay, if you want to apply it to society, that's one thing. With a relationship, I don't see it the same thing. You want to look at microcosms and macrocosms. The relationship is a completely different build to a society, though. Even though relationships take place.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think that relationships are a reflection of society.
Okay. Well, I disagree with that, but okay.
Oh, you disagree with that? So you think that when it was Leave It to Beaverland in the fucking 1940s, that the relationships of the 1940s, the way that the nuclear family interacted with the external world, and the way that policy was crafted by the United States government and the way that decency laws were implemented had nothing to do with relationship dynamics, really?
No, I'm saying
you really think that?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying yes, relationship dynamics can be influenced by what's.
Yeah. So if the United States government is promoting it, don't you think relationship dynamics would change tomorrow if the United States government began to promote a nuclear family with one man, one woman, and gave all sorts of incentives and patriotic bonuses to people who had that type of family? Don't you think that would completely and totally change interpersonal relationship dynamics probably overnight?
Not to the degree I think that you're trying to say that they would.
Well, then how come it did in Hungary? How come it did in places? In the Eastern European nations, when they switched their propaganda away from globo homo, almost instantly.
It depends on the classes. It depends on it will affect certain classes differently to other classes. It also depends on what those changes are going to be. I think that if
the changes are just this, I'll just give you the changes. Ready? Here's the easy changes.
We've seen lots of changes. Like you look at the UK, there's little things, small things.
Yeah, but I'm saying a reverse trend. Yeah, but I'm saying a reverse trend. Let's pretend for a second we have a reverse trend. The president of the United States comes out for a State of the Union address, and he says, "Look, this whole gay pride thing, we're all done with that. And this feminism thing, yeah, we're all done with that too. The United States government's not going to be crafting any policy around these insane metrics anymore. We want to see the population of the United States explode. And it's your patriotic duty as Americans to make this happen so that our future generations are secured and our border is secured, and we don't have to rely on immigrant labor and can remain the powerhouse of the world. And to that end, we're going to make sure that each individual nuclear family unit is tax exempt for 5 years. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to quadruple the earned income child credit. And we want to see marriages between one man and one woman, and we're going to put that propaganda everywhere that you look. Where there is, two dudes kissing, we're going to replace that with a man and a woman in 1950s garb holding hands. You don't think that would have a massive psychological, powerful impact on society?
Like I said, I don't disagree with that. What I disagree with is the fact that if you're in a relationship with a woman now and you're in a happy relationship and it has a certain dynamic, if that shit changes societally, it's not going to change you, or at least it shouldn't change you and how you look at your relationship.
Yeah, it is.
That
It
shouldn't
is.
affect
You don't know how prone you are to propaganda. You have no idea. Everyone thinks that they're fucking immune.
Dude,
You're not immune.
I've been through civil war. I've been through other shit. I've seen a lot of propaganda. I know how it can affect people.
Yeah, you're not immune. You're not immune, dude, and you're not immune from propaganda the other direction either. So the thing is that if we're going to use propaganda and brainwashing for the population because it works, then why wouldn't we use brainwashing propaganda in a way which would move society towards the ends that we want, which is this nuclear family dynamic, which is this whole backbone of America being the nuclear family and mom and dad at home. Mom stays home with kids, dad goes and works, you support a family on a single income. We could definitely propagandize and change relationship dynamics tomorrow. So yes, I do think relationship dynamics in current Western societies are a side effect of Western liberal governmental policies. Absolutely.
All right, taking it back onto the debate that we're having earlier on, though, with regards to women being of lesser value, bringing lesser value to a relationship. I can see why Teriak would argue what he was arguing. My issue is simply that I don't think you can make that statement because I don't think you can measure the full value of what a woman offers. If you're looking at it from the perspective that certain people who are making that more what I thought was a hyperbolic claim, but then they're saying that they don't believe it's a hyperbolic claim. They genuinely believe what they're saying 100% in that absolutist sense. That's what.
Yeah, there's the problem with this though is that you're kind of running into a philosophical boundary you're creating for yourself, which is an essence energy distinction. You find this in religion often as well. So any definition I can give you of a table is going to fall short of the essence of what the table is, though you can partake in the energy of the table. You know what a table is. You and I both know what it is. We know that we can sit at it. We know that we can eat it or eat on it. We know, what it's used for, all of this, but any descriptive claims we make about the table are going to fall short of its totality of its essence. Every termite that might live in it, every little tiny shard which is in it, we can't truly experience the essence of the table. Okay. The same thing applies to human ontology. We can't completely capture it, but we don't fucking have to. It's not necessary to, in order for us to capture enough of it to understand how its energies partake with our energies. We don't really need to capture the entirety of its essence. And so I think that you're running into a lot of these kind of fallacious arguments of trying to set these arbitrary metrics up for your opponent that you yourself can't answer because you understand that there's an energy and an essence distinction.
But how's it fallacious to say that? I could argue that your side.
Well, it's fallacious. It's fallacious it's called a continuum fallacy, and that's why it's fallacious. So the continuum fallacy is when you know a thing changes to another thing, but you can't identify exactly when that happens. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
But the proposition that you're arguing for, which is that we then just say, oh, hey, you don't need to understand all the energies that it brings to so you don't need to understand the full essence of it. That's going to lead to the other issue. And you can
you can't. No, it's not. You don't need to. It's you can't. And since you can't, and we know you can't because we're limited to some capacity that way, you don't need to. Or we would never be able to make a single value judgment about anything. I'll never be able to completely capture the essence of a tree, but I can sure as shit cut that fucking thing down and make boards out of it and build a deck, can't I?
The point is that you need to be able to make a valid understanding to respect.
Yeah, a value judgment. Yeah, we can make value judgments even without complete understanding. It's not necessary.
Right. But what I'm saying is that your value judgment, you can put in less effort into that value judgment than somebody else. And therefore you can say, well, hey, look, the value of this isn't that great. Oh, wait, don't you think you should inspect it a little bit closer, dedicate a bit more time to examine this a bit closely? And then you can have somebody say, oh, but hey,
but bro, you don't. Yeah, but this, again, you're just missing the forest through the trees. You don't have to be a botanist to grow tomatoes. Okay, you can still grow tomatoes, and they're going to be big, juicy, ripe tomatoes that you eat that are going to be every bit as good as the botanist tomatoes. You don't have to be a botanist to grow tomatoes. You don't have to have kind of this deeper, enriched understanding of every single delineation point. It's not necessary.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying?
Surely you can understand that if we agree that the whole essence energy fallacy that doesn't work, like we can't fully understand a woman, we're never going to be able to fully understand a woman. Therefore, it's not
or a man
to do
wait
so.
or
Right.
a man,
okay,
or yourself,
right, okay. But if that's something that we accept,
yeah,
there needs to be a threshold of
no, there doesn't. No, that's where you're making the continuum fallacy. There doesn't have to be a threshold. What's the threshold of surety? What's the threshold of surety that you have in the morning that when you get out of bed, you're not going to fall through the floor and die? What's the threshold?
Well, it's based on a common sense understanding of solid objects.
What is common sense threshold is what? That's just babble. That's just woman prattle. What do you mean? A common sense threshold. Okay, well then I have a common sense threshold understanding of all things which are woman.
Where are you going with this? Like, what's the point here?
What I'm saying to you is that this is your argument. Your argument is that there needs to be some kind of value threshold, which is arbitrary, that nobody can know, including you. But we need to understand it before we can make value judgments, even though you make value judgments literally every minute of your life, every single day, all fucking day long, without having any value threshold at all.
No,
and you're somehow able to make these value judgments so well that you have not killed yourself somehow.
that I wasn't going to say there needs to be a threshold on the value. There needs to be a threshold on the effort that's being put in to understand the various metrics that each one has, a man and a woman.
Yeah, I just told you. Yeah, okay, fine. Then there needs to be a threshold of value for the different doorknobs in your house. Then I guess, and you need to tell me what that threshold is for why you install a brass one instead of a non-brass one. What is the exact metric that you're using for that? Or is it just fucking aesthetically pleasing to you?
Wait, hang a second. No, look. You're arguing it the wrong way. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that whatever your decision is going to be, you have to at least try to make a genuine attempt to understand why you're making that decision.
Yeah, but
if you say there's no way that you're going to fully understand the essence of something, therefore you don't need to, right? Because you're not capable of.
Yeah, only if you're asking for arbitrary symmetry breakers, which is what you're asking for. You're asking for arbitrary symmetry breakers, which are unanswerable, and then going, haha. But
I'm not doing that.
It's an arbitrary symmetry breaker, which you can't answer to, but neither can you. And you don't need to.
What's being done. That's
exactly what's being done. And you got caught in a performative contradiction twice.
We've both understood that that's something that's not possible. All as I'm saying is that I agree with your position. We can't fully understand.
Hang on. If it's not possible, then how come we can still make value judgments about it?
You think that we can't?
I think we can. That's my point.
So do I.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can still make value judgments about it without this arbitrary threshold, then you're just making my argument for me.
How am I making an argument for you?
Because we clearly don't need this deep dive into these arbitrary thresholds of the effort put in to understand the exact linear distinction in value between men and women when it comes to how much of it revolves around their ability to reproduce, how much of it is moral, how much of it isn't. It's not necessary.
Andrew, don't relate it to all this other stuff. Okay, just for the sake of the argument, simplify how you're speaking about it, right? Let's just look at it this way. There is a man, there is a woman. The man believes that he is of more value than the woman.
Yeah.
When the man wants to enter into a relationship with a woman, right? If we're looking at it very simply, you're saying, and I agree with this. This is why I disagreed with Teriak, because I agree with what you're saying. There is no way we can understand the fullness of what makes a woman and what gives her the value that she has. across all of those different metrics, however you want to look
at it. Yeah, I'm saying, now, you don't need to fully understand her ontology.
Yes, you're saying that because it's impossible for us to understand that, we don't need to fully understand it.
In order to make value judgments. Yeah, in order to make value judgments.
Now,
that's correct.
Now, my only contention with that is you're going to have some men who are shit at making value judgments, who take comfort in the fact they're never going to fully understand where a woman's value lies or what makes a woman, right?
Yeah, but so what?
Other men, hang on, you're going to have other men who are better at making those judgments, who are willing to examine a woman a bit better. Now,
yeah, but only one of them gets closer to the truth of the matter.
Yes. Now, what I'm saying is that you can stop where if there's no threshold, if you say there doesn't need to be a threshold, you're going to say that the guy who doesn't want to fully examine.
No, I'm not saying there doesn't need to be a threshold. Stop. Don't straw man me. Didn't say that there doesn't need to ever be a threshold. Doesn't mean that there never has to be a threshold. It means if you demand an arbitrary symmetry breaker, no, there doesn't need to be a threshold in that case. That is some just sophistry based on a continuum fallacy. Has nothing to do with anything.
If we don't go there, and if we just look at these two men, one who has taken the time to examine the essence of what a woman could be a little bit more than the other one has. And you have one man who says, a woman's just a pussy. And then you have another guy who says, no, a woman actually can also offer X, Y, and Z as well. If you're going to take both of those guys, is one making a more accurate judgment of what a woman is than another is?
Maybe.
Maybe or yes?
Well, it's not really a yes, it's maybe. Maybe. Okay. They could be.
Explain why maybe. Which one? Which one is maybe making?
Well, so because you could be if you're looking into this deeper threshold, looking at the wrong criterion. And this is a problem which science runs into all the time. Science is only as good as the controls you apply to it. So you could be looking at all sorts. So you're looking into more of what the ontological nature of a woman is, but you have incorrect controls, which is something that happens in sociology constantly. So much, in fact, that we have what's called a replication crisis, where most of these sociological studies can't even be reproduced. And that's with the same study group, same scientists, same everything. They can't reproduce their own results. And the reason for that is because when they try to create these vast controls to understand nature or ontology, the being of a thing, they often use the wrong controls. And science is only ever as good as a control. So you actually can come up with these wildly bad results, whereas the fucking old redneck on the porch, who's just been observing women coming and going in his town for 30 years, may have far deeper insights than you do.
Okay, so this issue that you just brought up here, it applies to both men, though. If you're going to look at that they might be examining the wrong criterion, I agree. But that is just as likely for the man who's only looking at one or two value judgments with regards to women as the guy who took more time and is examining it on a much deeper
I don't know how you could show. I don't know how you could show that it's more likely. There's only one that we have data. There's only one we have failure data on, and that's the sociological studies.
Hang on a second. If the guy who is only looking at 1 or 2 points, or let's say 3 or 4 points, okay.
Yeah. What if they're the right points?
Yes, what if they're the right points? If the guy who's looking at 20 or 30, he could also be looking at mistakes. But the thing is that he's more likely, by virtue of looking more deeper, to be picking on certain ones that are correct.
No, he's not more. Yeah, nope. That's no. This is an incorrect way to view. This is an incorrect way to view science, man. No, it depends on the controls. Yeah, it is. You're saying just by nature of repeating an experiment enough times, that you're going to get better results. It's not true.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's not by virtue of repeating the same experiment. It's by pooling a larger group. If you're looking at statistics, right? You want to look at larger number of people. Now, if you might hit some negative points, but if you're trying to deeply understand the nature of a woman, and you're only looking at it for 5 minutes versus 5 years, right? You might be making a lot of mistakes, but you might be hitting on more data points that are correct data points than what the guy who only looks at it for 5 minutes is going to be. You're more likely to. Now, yes, you're going to make more mistakes as well, but you're going to understand more truths simply by virtue of looking deeper and for a longer time, correct?
No. And I'm going to explain. No. Well, here, I'll show you. I'll demonstrate this to you so that you understand. Okay. Have you ever heard of Bayer aspirin?
No, I don't think so.
Well, you know what aspirin is, right? You take it for headaches.
Oh, sorry, you're saying aspirin. Sorry, I thought you were saying a name of somebody. Aspirin.
Yeah, aspirin. Do you know what aspirin is?
Yeah, blood thinner. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just so you know, the use of aspirin, or not in its kind of pure form, has been used for a couple thousand years to ease child pain, this and that. It's basically bark of some tree. I don't remember which tree, but that's all it is. Okay. People have been using it as a homeopathic remedy for 2,000 years or something. In World War I, Bayer got a contract for aspirin. Okay. And when the Spanish influenza hit, they were issuing out aspirin to people and telling them to take up to 15 pills a day, because their scientific metrics had shown that this would cause a decrease in pain and inflammation in the human body. Well, conventional wisdom was, no, don't do that. Don't do that, because if you do, you're going to kill yourself. And the conventional wisdom, of course, came from homeopaths who over the centuries had been, just observing people who chewed this bark. And they learned that if they chewed too much of the bark, it would make them sick. But Bayer didn't care because, well, they had the contract. And so tons and tons of those people who were counted as deaths from the Spanish flu were actually overdosing on fucking aspirin issued to them by the scientific community because they were looking at the wrong fucking controls. Whereas the people who just had basic observation came to much better conclusions. No, science does not always give you a guarantee. Not only does it not always give you a guarantee, often it's a massive failure due to the types of controls which are put in. So no, I reject the idea that just because you are sociologically studying a female being, that you're going to come to radically better conclusions than just a normal fucking pickup artist. In fact, I'm pretty sure the pickup artist is going to end up with way better metrics on how to get a woman than a sociologist will, to be honest with you.
That's facts. They have all the studies.
I'm not seeing how that relates to what I was saying though. I mean, I understand your point there of getting a false data from that. What I'm saying though is that if you simply look at what you believe the virtues, or what you believe the essence of what a woman is across all metrics, you might mistake certain things. That was your point. You were saying like, oh, you might be looking at the wrong criteria.
Yeah, but your overarching point is, no, he who studies it more wins. And I just reject that in principle. No, I flat out just don't believe you. How's that?
I'm okay. If you don't believe me, that's cool. But what I'm saying is I'm not just saying that like you study them and you look at them and you determine all this stuff. I'm just saying that if you try to say, look, this is a value, this is a good value, this is something that I think that we need to consider. This is a good attribute that women have that we should kind of lend some kind of importance.
Yeah, but I mean, I think most of those attributes that we attribute come from the metaphysical and philosophical rather than the material. So
I agree. I'm not disagreeing necessarily with that. I'm not saying that it's purely.
So I just think that based on pure observation from people who are interacting with other people daily tend to have better insights than even sociologists who try to peer past the curtain. So I kind of disagree with this. Not only kind of, I just kind of flat out reject it. I don't believe that it's true. No, I don't believe it's true.
That's fair enough.
But I did enjoy the discussion. I got to get rolling. Thanks for letting me waste some time this Father's Day, guys. On my team's going to fucking yell at me for not doing a stream today, but it's Father's Day. I can fuck off if I want, right?
Oh yeah, Andrew. By the way, happy Father's Day, Andrew. Happy Father's Day.
Father's Day, bro.
Happy
Father's Day. There's treats for me to go eat in the fucking fridge, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, thanks for letting me waste some time today. It was really nice to meet you, and thank you for the spirited debate.
Nice to meet you too, Andrew. You take care.
Yeah.
Take care, Andrew. Thanks so much, man. Oh man. There you guys have it right there. Andrew fucking Wilson coming in, and I think he's almost gone.